All right, let's talk about Brock Bowers, the tight end who is coming out of Georgia, who is talked about as this, he's gotten that generational talent label, or at very least, he's talked about as an elite tight end prospect that you don't see come along very often. And anytime I hear, somebody kind of get that label, I'm always a bit wary. I'm always usually like, okay, is this really going to be that type of player? Of course, Kyle Pitts was recently given that label at the tight end position, and he's been a good NFL player, but maybe not quite the elite guy we thought he would be, and maybe that's just situation we'll see when Arthur Smith is gone, but still, that was kind of my bias entering watching Brock Bowers. But again, I try to give everybody clean slate. Let's just watch him and see how the film is. So let's get into it. Starting off with the play you see on the screen. It's going to be just a simple play, really, where you have to fake a handoff and then just flip it to Bowers, who's going to be in motion towards the offense's right. Okay, these are plays that you see in the NFL. Just get the ball to your tight end and see what happens. Well, when this play begins, it's going to start off with a bit of a issue, right? There is a player for UT Martin who could try to get over and make a play. It's not the most difficult move in the world for Bowers to make, but this is Bowers' first real test of this play. As you see, he does sidestep that defender and gets to this point where here you're thinking, okay, how many more yards out of this can he get? He definitely has a size advantage here. Can he get to the first down marker? That's what you're kind of hoping, although not necessarily expecting. Well, as you see, he's going to just completely get around that defender. So, okay, that was pretty good. But surely this is the end of the play, right? Another defender's coming over, got the first down. Well done by Bowers, but now the play is over. Well, no, watch him get around that defender as well. Finally gets knocked out of bounds. Actually made another guy miss before finally getting knocked out of bounds. This is something that I don't know if I've seen before at the college level of just a guy who's able to break tackles like that consistently at the tight end position. It does remind you a bit of like Rob Gronkowski. And while Bowers isn't quite as big as Rob Gronkowski, it certainly gives you that kind of feel to it. Now, again, just because you can do it in college doesn't mean you'll be able to do it in the NFL. That goes without saying. But I do think it's it's a very big positive, as if you can't do it in college, you're more likely to be able to do it at the NFL level. But honestly, plays like this are probably more what we'll see in the NFL. And again, that one was a highlight, although I do want to mention, it's a highlight that I saw a decent amount when watching his tape. But a play like this, it's going to be kind of a similar idea, a little bit different, but, run to play action towards the right, flip it towards Bowers, who's going to be going towards the left. And again, right here, ball is going to get flipped towards Bowers, but there's a defender that's, Bowers trying to get to the outside, but there's a defender in that area. But watch what Bowers can do. Watch him still get towards the outside there, gets around the defender, and is able to pick up a first down because he is explosive enough to still make that work. And is, again, so difficult to bring down in open space, he is able to make stuff like that work. So it's not just, the super highlight level plays, and I'm just stuff like that, just kind of doing a little bit more than your average tight end would, which can turn what would have been just a couple yards into a first down. That's a lot of what he did at Georgia. But again, these plays, you could definitely make the argument, we don't know if they're going to work at the NFL level. 100%. Well, let's talk about stuff that, you will have to do at the NFL level. Something like this is a good example of really why I think that he is a great prospect. Spoiler alert, I do think he's a great prospect, and this is kind of the biggest takeaway. The other stuff is fun. The other stuff is what will, light up the highlight reels and what will get you excited if you are watching this in the future and your team just drafted Bowers. But this is the stuff that I think is something that's really important. So it's zone coverage. You see where he is on the screen. He's the one I've circled in yellow. When this play begins, it's going to be the route running. I talked a lot about this with Dalton Kincaid, who ended up having a good rookie season. This aspect of football is what translates to the NFL really well. And you see, Bowers is not giving away what he's doing at all. Really good stem portion of that route, and is getting to his spot very quickly. Now, the disadvantage of this is that you have to be able to cut well enough to get to your spot, because you still want to get to your spot as quickly as possible. But as you see, that's exactly what Bowers is able to do. He does, kind of find that soft spot perfectly, makes the grab, and you see right here is in a very good situation. And just for a good measure, because he's Brock Bowers, watch him still not be too easy to bring down. Still is able to get like 9 more yards after the catch on that one, which seemed like it was only going to get 1 or 2 more yards after the catch. But if your criticism of some of these plays is, well, I don't know how much some of this will work, this is something that will work. This is something that him being able to do is definitely consistently going to be able to work at at the NFL level, I would assume. Again, you never know. Nothing is guaranteed. But if you can do this at the NFL level, it will work. I'll say that, and we'll see if he can. But it seems like it would allow him to be able to be an effective player, I would think. And also stuff like this. I mean, it's definitely worth mentioning as a tight end. A lot of times your stuff is scheme dependent. Bowers was so good in college. He was a lot of times Georgia's offense. But, like, you know, stuff like this is, I think, still an important thing to see him be able to do, even if it's, again, not necessarily the highlight level stuff. It's going to be, you know, a zone coverage play. And here's the way the scheme is designed to work for Georgia. First, they have a receiver who's going to run kind of a deeper over the middle route. And this is hopefully going to get the corner who is on that side of the field to follow him. That's usually what they're hoping happens. You then have Bowers start off kind of as though he's blocking right here, which hopefully will kind of get everyone else to say, okay, he's just blocking, and they fully cover the receiver. And then Bowers can run a deeper route. That's kind of the idea. That's the way this play is designed to work. Something that, you know, a good concept. These can sometimes allow guys to get wide open down the field. Pretty much anytime you see a tight end wide open down the field, sort of near the numbers or outside the numbers, it's almost always a concept like this. So when this play begins, you see Bowers starts off blocking, but very quickly is able to get around. And you see right here, the UAB player who I've put in that circle, he's kind of the only guy who can cover Bowers at this point. As you see, that's just not going to go well. Bowers blows right by him, even with a throw that wasn't really in a good spot. It was too far behind, but still, Bowers was able to adjust nicely and make the grab because of how open he was. Again, you could argue this isn't the biggest highlight reel level play in the sense of, like, you know, it was schemed up to a large degree. It was. But here's where the highlight reel level play stuff comes in. Watch how he somehow scores a touchdown out of this. Yes, that's what happened. Kind of crazy, but yes, he is someone who is elite in open space. Again, I don't know how much that'll translate to the NFL. I've said it a million times, I'll say it a million more. It is hard to tell exactly how much that's going to work with Bowers. But what I do think with Bowers is that he does so much of the little stuff well, and he is, you know, there is this kind of open space, like, greatness that you see on film that, well, I don't think any prospect is bust-proof, and I think you could certainly make the argument that there is you can't envision certain things of how it could be a bust, like, you know, a couple things I didn't bring up in this with film, but I'll just kind of mention now, contested catch rate is definitely on the low end, definitely will have some drops as well, not terrible, but definitely not elite in that category. But it kind of feels like, for me, I really do feel like Bowers is, like, floor is, like, still, like, a solid tight end, and his ceiling is, like, an absolute game changer. So I don't know what you do with that prospect when you decide to draft that prospect, but is Brock Bowers a generational talent? Well, I'll say this: he's the highest graded tight end I've ever done on this channel. I've been doing it for, I think 4 or 5 years now at this point. So I do have a higher grade on him than Kyle Pitts, for whatever that's worth. I think he's very good. Yes, the criticisms aren't even actual criticism of his game, really. It's just like, well, will this work at the NFL level? Which, if that's the criticism, all right, I'm fine with drafting you with a high pick. That's kind of how I view it. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.